Hello, I'm Dale from Dale's Gig Reviews and Metalliville Online magazine, and I'm joined by Duke from Spinal Tap, I believe.
Yes, Duke fame.
Duke fame. Or
Yeah,
Paul Shortino, we'll call you Paul.
that sounds good to me. That means little in Latin and humble in Hebrew.
Humble in Hebrew, I like that. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. For the last 3 weeks, I've been rehearsing and working on a new record with Mitch Perry, and we did a acoustic duet show at Treasure Island, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. We spent 3 weeks preparing ourselves for the show, and it came out quite well. I
Oh,
haven't
brilliant.
sang that much in a long time. We did about 4 to 5 hours a day rehearsal,
Wow.
so had to catch up on my guitar playing, and he played keys and guitar, so it
Yeah,
turned out really well, actually.
excellent. So, when's this going to be released? Have you got like a due date in mind?
Right now, we're working on. We got 4 tracks recorded. I also recorded an album with Michael Voss, who produces Michael Schenker, and we've done some albums together uh, back quite a few years ago. And anyways, he sent me some tracks, and I got Carmine a piece involved, and Phil Susan, and so we're shopping that album around right now.
Oh, brilliant. And what's it going to be called?
Well, Michael Voss wanted it to call it Shortino because I'm going on supposedly last year was canceled for rock legends with Joe Lynn Turner, Mark
Yeah.
Storaci, Russ Ballard, and Robin Beck and myself. So if that happens, it'll be happening at the end of September and probably 10 to 15 dates in October.
Oh, excellent.
And we'll be playing in Germany. Same people that I worked with in 2024 Rock Meets Classic.
Yeah.
So it's same people that were doing that, and I guess they're restructuring Rock Meets Classic. So they were doing this Rock Legends, and we were supposed to go out last year, late September and October, and then it's been postponed to this year. So I'm just waiting to hear from them.
Right. So is it going to be just Germany or are we going to get you in England as well?
Probably won't be in the UK. I'm also doing a project called Icons of Classic Rock with Wally Palmer from the Romantics, John Edwards, who was in Foreigner for one album on Atlantic,
Yeah.
and uh, and then David Bickler from Survivor, and Rob McCauley, myself, Alex Levergood, who was in Santana that did I'm winning, I'm winning.
All right.
Uh, I think he's Welsh. I think he's from Wales,
Yeah.
and it's a great show. It's been, actually 3 hours long. We've been touring South America and Mexico. We did a show last year towards the end of the year. It's called Agua Calientes
Right.
Festival, and Sting was headlining, Toto, Christina Aguilera, and also Enrique Iglesias, and then the icons of classic rock we performed as well.
Yeah.
So we spend more time traveling than we do on stage with that many singers. So doing this acoustic show that I did with Mitch Perry, I hadn't sang that that much in a long time. 5 hours a day. I think we rehearsed 7 days a week for the
Yeah.
last 3 weeks, Yeah, so I was hoping that, my voice was going to work, and it actually worked great. I was very surprised. We did 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, at
Wow.
Treasure Island here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And April 18th, we'll be performing at Prim in a arena there that holds 5,000 with the icons of classic rock. So,
Okay.
trying to get the show here in Las Vegas. So,
Wow. See, my partner was very excited when she heard I was interviewing you. From her youth listening to Rough Cut and Quiet Riot, and she sat across from me, and there was a big intake of breath when you mentioned that Iglesias fella because she quite likes him.
yeah, there's, I think quite a lot of females do like him.
I don't get it myself, but
Yeah, well, look at this. What's his name? Bad Boy Bunny. I don't get that either. I don't know. Music has changed so much from the days of old. I mean, when record companies were behind artists, and you had Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, and a lot of bands would go into the studio and they would spend as much time as needed to do
yeah,
their record. In fact, a lot of them actually. I'm moving because the dogs are going to probably bark. I'm going to shut this door in the studio. A lot of guys that were involved uh, in that time period, they ended up, you know, dying broke,
yeah,
and the states seem to have a lot of the royalties now, because they actually sold more records after they passed away.
yeah,
And so, and then the 80s, then you went from the artist in the late 60s and 70s, where the artist had a little bit more control of their music. And then in the 80s, it seemed like the record companies wanted to make everybody sound like Guns N' Roses or Quiet Riot with the big vocals, and
yeah,
then you had like Def Leppard taking that, Mutt Lang taking that to another level. But then it became producers, record companies wanting producers to take charge of the artist. And so things changed a lot. And now you have AI. I did a vocal for one of the guys over at Treasure Island TI is what they call it now in Vegas. And he's a great bass player. His name's Carlos, but he also works for the casino.
yeah,
And I did a song for him, and they had an AI vocal on it. But the song was like Joe Satriani, Mix Eric Johnson. It was very much, pretty much out of my genre of music, so to speak. So it was a
yeah.
bit challenging, especially when I soloed up the AI voice. Great. I mean, the voice was great, what they did, but they wanted a real voice on it. So I did it for him, you know, just as a challenge and free of charge. And next thing I know, he reached out to me and said, "Would you like to, play the lounge over at TI?" And I said, "Would love to." You know,
Yeah.
Uh, he says, "Can you put a duet together?" So I got a hold of Mitch Berry, and I can play a little bit guitar, enough to accompany myself. But he's an amazing guitarist, and we had a great time, and we started a record together, and we got 4 tracks cut. I haven't done the vocals yet, but he's got the bass. I think the drummer on these tracks is Les Warner from the Cult, former
Okay.
member of the Cult. Yeah, he's a British chap, and he's they cut 4 tracks already, so I haven't even heard them yet. Because then we got sidetracked with this acoustic show, and It turned out quite well, actually. It's a couple people approach us for doing some corporate gigs. Some people approached us for, just going on the road, doing some of this stuff together. We do a few original stuff, and then we do some of our favorite classic songs, some Blind Faith, some Eric Clapton, some Heart, and Eagles, and even go back far enough as to some Allman Brothers, and it was quite a variety. Etta James, I love Etta James. Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah,
Uh, just doing some really great songs, and we had a great time, a lot of fun. It just was a lot of work because
yeah,
for me, remembering those lyrics, I'm going to be 73 here in May, so
yeah.
I have CRS. I can't remember stuff.
I think you're a Taurian like me. I'm May the 9th, so we're very close birthday wise.
You're,
But
you're a Taurus as well. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
we're
looking at
very
that poster
grounded.
behind you. Who is it?
That's Led Zeppelin.
Oh, Led Zeppelin. Yep. I can't see. There he is, Jimmy Page. Yeah, that's it. And yeah,
There's
I can
Robert
see it now.
playing. Yeah, it's
There's a
raining.
young There's a young band called Jailer, and they're just like Led Zeppelin. And the young singer is 18. He's got some good pipes on him, really good. And they did a recreation of that photo that you've got in the background when they went to America. They've done a deal in
Yeah.
America, so they'll be touring. Yeah, so they've done a recreation of that photo.
Ah, well, there's also Rival Sons from San Diego sound like
Yeah,
Led Zeppelin. It's a
yeah,
trio with a front guy. I mean, you can't go wrong with trying to sound like that band. That band had total control of their music. The record company wasn't even allowed to go into the studio to hear what they were doing until they were finished, which I think was kind of cool. Jimmy
yeah,
Page, really quite a genius when it comes down
yes,
to
definitely.
recording stuff.
What a voice! Incredible voice.
Yeah.
Um, so speaking about incredible voices, we've got to go on about you, of course. That's why we're here. So you started in 1981 with Rough Cut. I'm assuming you had bands before that, like College and
Actually, I had a deal with Bell Records, and it was on the Billboard charts, and it was with Mickey Dolenz's sister,
oh
and
wow,
Paul and Coco. And then at the last minute, Coco and her management bailed, and the song was called "Follow Me," and so they brought in a girl named JoJo. So I was on Billboard, 22 with a bullet on a song called "Follow Me,"
right?
and then Vicki Lawrence came out with "That's the Night That the Lights Fell Out in Georgia" on the same label. So they basically shelved my 45. And I was doing an interview with a chap in New York, and he said, "If you send me some new stuff, I'll send you the promo 45 of
Yeah,
Follow Me." And I said, "Oh, I'd love to do that." Then I did another interview, and I didn't have anything to play it on. Then a friend of mine sent me a turntable,
yeah,
uh, uh, and so I had the record. And before I got the turntable, I was doing an interview with a guy out of, I think it was out of Arizona, and Phoenix, Arizona, I think. And he says, "I'll send you an MP3 of that." And so he sent me the MP3. But
wow,
I've done a couple albums. I did an album with Tracy G called Blue Dahlia, and it was kind of a cross between Led Zeppelin and Gary Moore.
yeah,
And we did a remake of "You Don't Have to Say You Love Me Just Because We're Friends." And he played the melody on the guitar. Da, 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 da. It turned out pretty cool. We did a
yeah,
song. The album really is great. It was released on I think it was DDR. Uh, record company, we released a Rough Cut 3, just me,
Yeah,
Matt, and Matt Thorne and Amir Durock. We released a Rough Cut 3, actually.
yeah,
Uh, and that was on that label. So I got a call from Tracy G, who worked with Ronnie James Dio, and he said, "Would you want to do a couple songs?" And we got involved in this thing, and we ended up doing a whole record and releasing it on this small label. It's the licensing is just about to come up to where we can get the rights back, and I think we'll try to release it on a larger label. Wendy Dio was trying to get it released on Universal, but
yeah.
it's a really good record. And then I did a record just a little bit before that, and we did a remake of Send in the Clowns with Carrot Top being the clown. It's on YouTube. Send in the
Right.
Clowns. Heavy, heavy. It's a heavy rock and roll version of it.
Yeah,
Um, Bass player from Whitesnake, I think Marco Mendoza played on it, and the guitar player was uh, Nozomu Waki,
right.
and uh, great guitarist. And we had a great record, but there's a great video on YouTube of Send in the Clowns.
Right.
Um,
I'll have to check that out because it was one of my dad's favorite songs. That was.
oh, it's really a cool version. It starts out with the orchestra. Isn't it rich? Aren't we a pair? Me on the ground and you in the air. Send in the clown. And it goes, ah, bump, bump. Benny Paul played drums on it.
Yeah,
We did a version of this like 13 years ago, and with Ira Black, Benny Paul. I'm trying to think who I don't remember. Oh, a guy named Tyler Burgess played bass. So we had cut the track, and it was mainly cut for Carrot Top in his show. And it wasn't until like 13 years later that we ended up doing a video. The video is really cool. I have a
yeah,
vision of it for like a Cirque Soleil version kind of video, and all black background with just a light beaming down. It's a great video.
yeah,
Actually, the guy who does the lights for like Mystere and a lot of the Cirque du Soleil shows, he did the lighting, and Gary Arona uh, videoed it, and he's done a lot of movies and stuff for HBO and Cinemax. So it was done really well. It was done at Desert Moon Productions, which is Danny Coker, who actually had a show on the History Channel called Counting Cars, and I appeared on his show once. He tried to sell me a 60, I think it was a 1962 Cadillac.
yeah.
He ended up keeping it. It only had 11,000 miles on it because I'm a Cadillac guy. I've done some
Wow.
commercials for Cadillac here in Las Vegas, and um, I got a
You
2012 CTS.
you weren't tempted to buy it then?
Yeah, yeah, he wanted 30 grand for it. And at that time, we had a show here in Las Vegas called Raiding the Rock Vault
Yeah.
with numerous rock stars.
Yes, I've
Uh,
been looking at that a jukebox musical that you played in Las Vegas casinos.
yep, started at the LVH. We were there for 2 years. And then it went to the Tropicana, and we were there for 2 years. It seemed like every hotel we were at, they ended up selling it.
Yeah,
So then we ended up at the Hard Rock, and then COVID hit, and it ended up just kind of just falling apart, really.
yeah,
And so now there's really, I don't think there's any rock stars in the show. They just have the brand, and they they're talking about taking it on tour. We
Yeah,
actually came to the UK to do the show, and it was before COVID, and or should I say, just the flu, really. Uh,
yeah,
they've debunked that, a million times. I mean, more people died of the flu than of that, but to each their own. I got it, and it wasn't that hard on me. I had when we were doing Raiding the Rock Vault at I think it was at the Tropicana. I had walking pneumonia for 6 weeks and performed 6 nights a week. So I lost a lot of weight, and finally got a doctor that fixed fixed me up. He said I can get you feeling better in 2 hours, and he was right. He put me on a breathing machine, but it was amazing that I could sing every night in the show
yeah.
with walking pneumonia. I couldn't believe it. Some of the guys couldn't believe it. So that went on, and now they're thinking of touring in Canada. But we flew to the UK and did the show, and I don't remember where we did it, but when we landed, our hotel burnt down. So we can't make this stuff up. It was like
You
Spinal
didn't
Tap.
sit at a side of a lake and start singing "Smoke on the Water" or anything like that, did
Yeah,
you, at the time?
exactly. Well, we had that in the show, and so but it seemed like total Spinal Tap. It seems like that followed me around since I've been in the movie as
Yeah.
deep. But yeah, I would definitely like to come to the UK again. My wife wanted to go, so she came along and we did. I think we did 1 or 2 nights in a venue that was under a bridge. It wasn't in the best part of town, from what I hear, but a lot of bands have played there,
Yeah.
and so it was fun. It wasn't like the show here in Las Vegas. The show in Vegas had a screen behind us with video footage of each artist that we were performing
Yeah.
songs of. Classic. It started with My Generation and ended with Jump, and in between
Okay.
all of that was the Stones, the Doors, Aerosmith, Robert Palmer, Led Zeppelin. I mean, just pretty much anybody that was anybody with the classic rock
Yeah.
uh, tag to it we were in that. We did in that show, and it was quite nice. Now, with this show that I'm in, the Icons of Classic Rock, I do a song off the Quiet Riot record that I did with them. It was the last record that Quiet Riot did with CBS Sony. Right now, we're in the process of getting that record back,
Yeah.
and we're going to put some bonus tracks on there. We have a track that Russ Ballard wrote and a track that Glenn Ballard wrote.
Yeah.
And Glenn Ballard wrote "The Man in the Mirror" for Michael Jackson, and Russ, I mean, he's from Argent. He's written "God Gave Rock and Roll," and
Oh, wow.
you. He's he's written so many songs. In fact, I toured with him and Robert Hart from Man for Man, and Tarja from Nightwish,
Yeah.
and John Hollingwell from Supertramp, and he toured with Bob Stiedenberg's son,
Yeah.
Jesse, and Jesse did all of the play. Bob told him, he said, I actually played with Bobby before he got in Supertramp. We had myself, Bob, and Scotty Gorham from Thin Lizzy. We all hung out together. Derek Boschman, and then Bob went to the UK and got in Supertramp and got a hold of Scotty because Bob married Scott Gorham's sister, so they were related
Nice.
in that way. And then I was speaking to Bob's son when we were touring Rock Meets Classic, and And Bob had told his son Jesse, if you're going to get in this business, you learn how to play guitar, keyboards, drums, produce. And his son is very talented, Jesse Siedenberg. And so he toured with John, and they did a lot of the songs from Breakfast in America, which was a great tour, the
Yeah,
Rock Meets Classic. It was a lot of fun. It was a dream come true to perform with a orchestra.
yeah,
Yeah,
I bet that was really fun.
yeah, it really
It's,
was.
I've got to ask, um, Dio, how did you meet Dio? I've got
Um,
two Rainbow albums behind me. I have got a Dio album, but I couldn't find it for the life of me. So I've got two Rainbow albums behind me, and you knew Dio, you toured with Dio, and his wife Wendy was your manager. And
and
so how did you
his
meet
man,
Dio?
his manager as well. Actually, I met Wendy before she married Ronnie and didn't know it. She was married to a friend of mine who was in a band called Mama Lion,
Right.
and back in the probably early 70s, probably 71, 72, band came out called Mama Lion. Lynn Carey was the lead singer, female, and my friend, the guitar player, met Wendy at John and Judith Lord's house, and they got married. And I met Wendy at a Halloween party, I think when I was 17. So years had went by, and I was performing with a band called Legends down in Redondo Beach, and I met this character, David Alfred, um, at a car wash, and he knew Ronnie from meeting him in Shreveport, Louisiana. And so he said to David, if you ever find a singer, a really good singer, look me up. And so the next thing I know is we put a band together. I was at the time uh, working with Claude Schnell, who, eventually was in the Dio band. And anyways, we had a band together called Magic, but the drummer and the guitar player were a little, um, I guess you would say, fickle. They had a lot of things going on. So Dave said, hey, let me bring Jakey Lee Williams in and play guitar, and another guitar player, Bob DeLellis. And so we formed Rough Cut, and I was under management by a guy named Kim Manners, who's passed away, and Dennis Gleason. And Kim Manners' father was a director for Route 66, the first on the road kind of series in the 60s.
Yeah.
And Kim actually was assistant director for the Charlie's Angels. So I actually played at his wedding and met all of the Angel girls. And so I was under contract with them as management. And Ronnie ended up coming to a Rough Cut rehearsal. And he was in the process at that point of doing a deal solo album with Warner Brothers. And so we got together at rehearsal, and he started working with us. And my parents at the time had a recording studio, so we were able to go in and do some demos. And we shopped those around that Ronnie produced. I think if Ronnie would have produced the album, it would have came out a year earlier than it did, and it would have been better
Yeah.
time for Rough Cut, because when the album came out, Ted Templeman signed the band, and then he was in the middle of doing a record with Clapton and Lindsey Buckingham. So I don't know if that album ever came out, but I was in a cover band and I was doing Kill the King from Rainbow. So Rainbow was always a favorite
Yeah,
band of mine. I was, that and White Snake. I mean, one of my favorite albums is Burn with Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale singing. And I was always a big Deep Purple fan.
yeah,
Even Gillan was, they were just amazing band. And so that's how I met Ronnie. And then we were sitting at the Chinese restaurant, and then it all clicked that, oh, Wendy, you were married to my guitar player friend, Rick Gaxiola. And I had met her, shit, I think I was 17, 18 years old.
yeah,
Just after I released that record, "Follow Me" on Bell Records, Rick and her were having a Halloween party. So then it all clicked. I went, "Oh wow!" And then I just had so much faith in all the people. I signed contracts without even reading
yeah,
them.
yeah,
So Ronnie and Wendy got involved and got me out of the contract that I was with Kim Manners and Dennis Gleason. And then my attorney became Stan Diamond, and Ronnie and Wendy said, "Hey, we're going to move you in the house and we're going to do some production at your folk studios and cut some tracks there." So that's pretty much how I met Ronnie, and so grateful that you know I would have never met a lot of the people that I looked up to if it wasn't for them.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, that's
and
incredible. Because one of your first tours was with this band here, Crocus, and
yes,
you supported Crocus with Rough Cuts.
yes.
Was that an interesting time?
Actually, also, Accept was on the bill,
That's
and
right.
then
Yes. Yeah.
and then after we toured with Crocus, it was really funny because we were touring with Crocus and Accept, and just at that time, Spinal Tap came out. So the tour manager, we couldn't get even a line check, and there were three bands on the Crocus bill,
Right.
and so we weren't getting a line check or anything. We just set our shit up and went out there. But one day afternoon, the road manager for Crocus was came by our dressing room and he goes, "Aren't you Duke Fame?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm Duke Fame in Spinal Tap." And he says, "Well, the guys in Crocus want to meet you." So I was so fortunate to go backstage and meet Mark and the rest of the guys from Crocus. And we became really good friends. And we became really good friends with, the guys in Wolf and Peter Baltz from Accept. And then
Yeah.
Rough Cut picked up their West Coast tour because they were doing so well that they asked us to warm up for them on the West Coast. So out of that tour, we ended up touring with Accept, and the label we lost our A&R at Warner Brothers. He went to Capitol, so Rough Cut kind of was struggling, and went to Japan. We were just right behind Quiet Riot,
Yeah.
and we all kind of met each other at the Stars hearing aid event. It was
Yeah. I've
right when
got that
Michael,
wrote down here. The amount of
yeah,
people that
Michael
was in that.
Jackson did "We Are the World" with Ken
Yeah.
Cragen, so Wendy Dio. Yeah, I think Vivian Campbell and Jimmy Bain and Ronnie wrote the song called "We're Stars," and I
Yeah.
was so fortunate to be one of the main vocalists with Jeff Tate and Mike, let's see, even Kevin
Yeah.
DeBro. So we got to meet each other, and then Rough Cut was touring in Japan, and we got dropped from Warner Brothers. And so when we came home, we were in the studio, doing some new material to shop around for a new deal. And I was contacted by Frankie Vanelli and Carlos Cavazo because I guess they had fired Kevin. Who's
Yeah,
how do you fire the guy who started Quiet Riot? But anyways, they were going to replace the singer, and
yeah,
so they approached me, and we were Rough Cut was looking, to get signed to another label, and so I went in and auditioned, and we wrote some songs and went into a year of litigation.
yeah. Because it was a bit of a bizarre situation as well going into Quiet Riot because there was no original members left.
No, well, the original band was with Randy and everybody else, and then he put together DeBro, and then Frankie Benelli, Rudy Zarzo, and Carlos Cavazo. They're the ones that had the big hits on that album. So
Yeah,
that was Quiet Riot with Metal Health, and they did a remake of the Slade song on two albums, the first one and the second one. But they had two albums prior to that with Randy, and Kelly Garney was on bass before Rudy was. So actually, the original players of Quiet Riot was Carlos and Frankie, um, and they got rid of Kevin. So but it was Kevin's baby, Yeah, he was, I never wanted to try to sound like Kevin.
no,
Um, and the record we did was a lot of fun, and it was a lot different than anything that they did prior. And we were getting some good reviews out of it. And then Frankie, his mom was very ill. My mother had a heart attack. I really regret that I didn't do another album. We were supposed to do another album, and I personally got kind of upset that Frankie didn't want to tour the album that I was on. We had
yeah,
we had a nice U.S. tour set up, but his mother was sick, and he went out with Wasp playing drums. So we sat on that album, and you know, it just went didn't go anywhere.
yeah,
Air's crazy. So I decided to do my own record, and I went into litigation again because we ended up doing a record called Bad Boys with Sean McNabb, who was in Quiet Riot with me, and
yeah,
let's see who else was in that. Michael Guy. The first lineup was with James Kodak on drums, and then Rich Carlson replaced him, and it was Mitch Perry, Michael Guy, Sean McNabb, and Rich Carlson. And we put out an album just in Japan. And recently, I found some other tracks, and I released it on DDR Music, that label. I released Rough Cut 3 on, and also Blue Dahlia.
yeah,
So people can still get stuff from that label. It's an online kind of thing.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Because you made a super group as well, didn't you? Quiet Riot and Rough Cuts. You did Rough Riot.
Yeah. Yeah, that was me, Carlos, Chris Hager, God rest his soul. He's passed away, and Dave Alford and Sean McNabb. So we called it Rough Riot because I was in both bands. I was in Rough Cut and Quiet Riot. So, and then Sean was in Quiet Riot. Carlos was in Quiet Riot, and Dave and Chris were in Rough Cut. So that's why we called it Rough Riot. But
Yeah,
that was shortly lived. That was just to go out and play,
yeah,
and get some gigs out on the road, It was shortly lived. And then
Were
Dave
you
and
playing music from just both bands?
yeah, we were playing music from the record I was on and some of the Quiet Riot, like Metal Health, and then some rough cut tracks.
Yeah,
So they just it was all personalities, not so much mine as it was with Dave and Chris and Sean, and people weren't getting along. So it happens, and
yeah,
that's what happens with all these bands. They end up breaking up because they go their own ways for some reason. When you have a band, I haven't been in a real band since Rough Cut, and
yeah.
then Quiet Riot. Quiet Riot was we spent a year of litigation. I spent a fortune getting in that band when I was offered from Spencer, because he owned all of their publishing and everything from the deal that they signed with him prior. So when I joined Quiet Riot, we were renegotiating everything. They only had one more record to do was with Pasha. Pasha was the middleman, and CBS Sony was the distributor.
Yeah,
So they, Quiet Riot, Warren Etna, their manager, wanted to go directly to Sony and do that one last album with Spencer. So I didn't meet Spencer. They kind of hid me from Spencer, and we were doing some demos and working on material. And we went into litigation as soon as Spencer, heard my voice. He wanted to renegotiate the album or the
wow.
contracts for the new album. So it was crazy. The whole thing was crazy.
Yeah, it
Now it's
sounds.
really crazy because we're getting the rights back to that album, and we have an attorney working on that for us right now. Me and Carlos, seeing how we're the only members left of that were on that album.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it out there and
Yeah,
get it listened to properly, how it's meant to be.
yeah, and throw some bonus tracks on there, which is the one track. Your time is going to come is Carla or Frankie Benelli and Tommy Lee do a drum off in the middle. The song almost sounds like the Wild and the Young, dun 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 dun, dun. And that almost sounds like as that song in the '70s, dun 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 dun. Dun. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Oh God, I'm having a brain fart right now. But anyways, it sounded like another song. I think that Patti Smith did
Okay.
in the '70s. But I think that Wild and the Young was written by uh, John Butcher. I think I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure.
'Cause it's funny that you said that you've not been in a lot of real bands, Rough Cut and Quiet Riot, because you've done a lot of guest singing with Frost, Out in the Cold, Keel, Streets of Rock and Roll, Mad
Yeah,
Max, Storm Child Rising, is it Margot Diaz? And
yeah.
yeah, and then Wolfpack. But you also did a duet thing with Take Northrop. Got it wrote
Jeff
down now.
Northrup back on
Yeah,
track.
that's him, Casey Northrop. Yeah. So what was all that about? Because I've listened to some of it. It's a lot heavier than other stuff that you've done that
Yeah,
I've listened to.
it's some of the best songs material I've ever done, and that was with the collective. Uh, it was actually going to be Jeff's. I was only going to sing a couple songs, and we hit it off so well that it became my album featuring him, and it was released in Japan, and it's been released a few times. Jeff has released it. It was released after 25 years
Yeah.
again, released with some bonus tracks on it, and that that was some really great stuff. I mean, I've done a lot of solo stuff. I've done like Sacred Place, which I had a lot of different guitar players on that. Anywhere from Brad Gillis, Carlos Cavazo, Jimmy Crespo was in Aerosmith. Um, it was a cool album, Sacred Place, and then I did a blues record that Matt Thor and Amir Durock did producing on, and it was with some really great players on that record. That was with horns and a totally different direction than the heavy rock thing. But the Northrop albums, both of them, there was Back on Track, and the other one was oh,
Afterlife.
yes, Afterlife.
Afterlife, yeah,
Yeah, one of my
2004.
favorite songs, "Like a Stone," is unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. I've been listening to it. I found it out today, actually, because I do my research, and I found it out today, and I've been sat listening to it, and I'm like, I like this. This is good. This is some really heavy rock, and I like heavy rock.
Yeah, there's some really good songs on there. On the Back on Track, the song "Pieces," I had walking pneumonia when I sang that song, and it was up there. Too
Yeah.
many pieces and that's all I'm broken. I mean, we recorded that stuff in so many different studios, uh, and actually, I that's when I met my second wife, Carmen, and we were recording up in Prairie Prairie Studios. It was above Sacramento,
Yeah.
and we lived like they had a apartment, and it was an old chicken farm. They turned into a studio above Sacramento,
Wow.
California, and I think it was Prairie Sun Studios is what it was,
Yeah.
and we did some recording there. We did some recording, at Pasha. We recorded just random places, and then we went on the road for a while with that, with James Kodak and Sean McNabb, and we went on the road here in the States. But just things have changed so much, rock and roll and everything. It's kind of now the pop star days. It's
So
record
I've got to
companies
say,
want to.
the 70s is actually coming round again, where in the UK, I mean the brown, everybody's wearing brown, people are wearing flares, they're wearing the big collars, and the music, the sound of the 70s is coming back, the rock and roll era. It's all coming back round again. It's
Well,
strange.
I think it's known to history repeats itself. So,
Yeah,
and fashion and rock and roll seem to go together. They always did. When you see the Stones, the Beatles, the Who, Hendrix, they all dressed really cool. Grunge kind of put fashion away. They talk about the metal. It's just weird how they've categorized music. Music's music.
yeah,
Um, Whitesnake was never a hair metal band. They were a rock and roll band. Most of the guys in that band were from Deep Purple at first.
yeah,
And David carried on with that, and it was part of Deep Purple even when Deep Purple broke up and became Whitesnake. And so, when they start categorizing music, it's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a joke to me anymore, because they're putting people in there like rap people. They should have the Rap Hall of Fame, just
yes.
like they have the Country Music Awards.
I agree. Yeah,
And
100%.
in rock and roll, I mean they just putting in Foreigner, and
Yeah,
I mean there's so many bands that deserve to be in there that aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and most of them, if there are any of them alive, and they're considering to put them in there now. But to me, it's kind of uh, a you know,
Yeah.
and
Oh, totally.
and they're right now you know classic rock and roll is the '80s now. So
Yeah.
they're even thinking about putting Quiet Riot and Dokken and Rat and some of those people are being nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I might end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame uh, because I was in Quiet Riot, you
Yeah.
know, uh, and not of a song that I did, but a
No,
song that
I think if you're going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's got to be for Eggman from Sonic the Hedgehog.
yeah, it was fun doing from what was that? It was from Sonic. That was I'm trying to think of the game. Sega, I
Uh,
think it was,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Sega. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Eggman.
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of fun. And June,
Yeah,
the guitar player on that, he actually
I can see your star on the Hollywood Hall of Walk of Fame. Paul Shortino, Eggman, Sonic the Hedgehog,
yeah, or either Duke Fame from Spinal Tap, right?
Duke Fame from yeah, that's the one. Duke Fame from Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Who
But
we finally got a sound check and a line check. That was kind of funny. But that's
no, it's
I've gotten a
brilliant.
lot of that. I mean, a lot of people know me from that more than they know me from some of the stuff that I've done.
Yeah,
I A lot of people really, they really haven't really heard some of the best stuff I've done. Some of it is with Jeff Northrup. Uh, uh, the Tracy G, with the Blue Dahlia album that we did, probably should have just released that as a Shortino album.
yeah,
This record that's sitting around that I did with Michael Voss, and I brought Carmine and Phil Soussan on board to play on the tracks. And Carmine can't leave the country tour, and it would probably be a touring Europe in the UK, uh, but not doing them here in the States because it's just rock and roll here in the States is just it's really rough.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it's
But
just
I have two things before we go. What's next for you? You've got this acoustic album and possible tour
no,
coming
it's
out.
not
So
going to be acoustic. We're just doing like uh, a sh- some shows
right,
acoustically.
yeah,
We're actually, Les Warner just played the drums, and Mitch Perry and myself are writing. He's actually written 4 songs, lyrics, and the music. So I just haven't, heard the material, but we uh, we did some things together. He did some songs for a publishing company, and I sang on them with some other singers. And I'm in my studio right now. And anyways, I said, well, we should just do an album together. So that in this album I did with Michael Voss and Phil, Susan, and Carmine. Uh, we're probably going to get a deal and try to tour Europe and the UK,
yeah,
but with probably a different drummer because Carmine can't leave the States
right.
for his health reasons, anyways.
Oh, that's a
So,
shame. Yeah,
yeah, but he played really great on it. Yeah, I've been really fortunate to do. I did 2 albums with him. Well, actually, 4 albums, King Cobra albums with him.
yeah,
Um, one with the full lineup, except for the singer, and then there was a couple albums I did with a guy named Javier Vargas,
right.
and we did Vargas, a piece, Vargas, Bogart in a piece featuring Paul Shortino. It was on Warner Brothers from in Spain. So, and then we toured. We toured Spain and Germany, and I think Austria, and that was a lot of fun
Yeah,
touring with Javier. He's a great blues player. So we did a couple Beck Bogart Appice songs. One was "Lady." There's a video out uh, of that, and another one we redid, "If You Think I'm Sexy," and it was heavy. Bum bum dum dum
yeah,
dum. Oh, and it's got a rap thing in it, but the video's awesome. It's on YouTube
yep,
under Vargas Bogart a piece featuring Paul Shortino, and it's a great video. And
yeah.
then there's a video of "Lady," which was a Beck Bogart and a peace song, and I got to sing it my way. I did it my way. So
Not the Sid Vicious version though.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just, I'm going to be 73 this year, and in May, and I'm just being grateful for all the stuff I've done in my life, and I wake up every morning for a new day and
Yeah.
see what the good Lord's got for me ahead of me. I probably rock till I drop, you
Well,
know.
your memory is 110% times better than mine. I can tell you that now because I can't remember anybody's name. I'm 53, and your memory is flawless.
Oh, I
But
tell
I
you.
have one final question, and it's my beautiful lady, Tracy, who's a big fan of yours, and Quiet Riot. And um, so her question, what I ask at every interview, is tell us something about you that we don't know.
Well, my wife and myself, we rescue dogs. We had two from Spain, and Dio and Ringo. Dio passed away during
Oh,
COVID, and so we started rescuing dogs from South Korea, meat
yeah.
markets. And we have two Labradors. Priscilla was on the meat farm where she
Wow.
heard the dogs being skinned alive and then boiled. And they put them in cages like with chicken wire.
Yeah.
And she was on the farm. And then Presley the women rescue these dogs and the men beat them. So Priscilla
Oh,
still has PTS, and Presley was going to be skinned and alive and eaten, but a lady saved him in an alley as he was going into a restaurant at 4 months. It's just the sweetest one. And Ringo is from Spain. He's Podenco. So that my wife got me involved in this, and so when I was in Spain touring, I went to a rescue there called Galgos de Sol, and there were 350 dogs, some three-legged. What they and that there are three types of dogs in Spain. There's the Greyhound, the Galgos, and Podencos, and we had two Podencos, and
yeah.
so I went in between one of the shows when we were touring. Uh, with Javier, I went to one of the rescues, and they had chickens there that didn't know how to eat. They had a pig that had been cut on. They had
Oh,
horses, all these animals, because in Spain there's no animal rights except for in Barcelona.
yeah.
So a lot of Europeans, people from Norway, offer their assistance and help. And so after COVID, we had an event here in Las Vegas, and we raised $25,000 for
Wow.
the Las Vegas the retriever rescue of Las Vegas. That's where we got the Labradors.
Yeah.
And so it was quite an event. A lot of rock star people showed up, and a lot of Las Vegas entertainers. And being
Yeah.
right after COVID, it really did well. And
Yeah.
so that's something that is a passionate thing that we do that I don't think a lot of people know. And we post a lot of that stuff for dogs. And my wife did my second marriage. Anyways, we're going on 30. Well, we just had our 34th anniversary in September. So
Congratulations.
yeah, so she didn't want to have any children. Her grandfather was an architect for Doug Siegel here in Las Vegas back in the 40s. So her family's, almost, you know, she's a native, and all of her mother and her aunt. And so her grandmother left us a home here. So I sold our place in Los Angeles, and we've been here for a little over 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's her passion is, you know, saving animals. And I wrote a song with a partner of mine called I Feel Fine. And they actually play that on a video. It went viral in South Korea
Yeah.
for the dogs.
Oh,
And Priscilla, we had a dog named Elvis, who was a black lab from a breeder in California, and then he passed away with Dio, and during COVID time. But
yeah.
I think he was 13. Dio was very young. He had a disease which was eating away his nervous system and his inner system. Humans get this disease, and I don't know. I can never remember what it is.
Yeah.
But anyways, he had a short life. We picked him up, met some people in Flagstaff, Arizona, Christmas Eve, and brought him home. And it was really weird as we drove to Flagstaff, Arizona, from Vegas to Flagstaff, Arizona. There, we were listening to Sirius Radio and listening to Christmas songs. And then as soon as we hit snow going into Flagstaff, Arizona, we started hearing songs with, well, the weather outside is frightening, and snow, snow, snow. Uh, from and White Christmas. We were listening to all these Christmas songs, and as soon as we hit snow, we were listening to snow songs, Christmas songs, and Dio was so frightening frightened when we got him that he stayed in my wife's arms all the way from Flagstaff to Las Vegas, shaking. And then he was the smallest one out of the pack, and he became the most dominant.
Yeah.
So we had the king of Elvis, the king, Black Lab, and then we had Dio, and he was little like Ronnie, and he had a large voice. Boy, he could howl and make a lot of noise. So we called him the Pope of Spanish Oaks because we live in a little area,
Yeah.
gated community that's a little over 30 years old. One of the first gated, I think it was the first gated community here in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
Spanish Oaks. So yeah, we that's one of the things that is a passionate that people
Excellent.
don't know about me.
Well, thank you very much for that. And thank you so much for your time. And good luck with your new music. And hopefully, we'll see you in the UK.
You got it. And Dale, I'll send you some MP3s of some stuff.
Excellent. I look forward to
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All
Well,
right, my
thank you
friend.
very much. And take care of yourself and your dogs.
Yes. And God bless you and yours. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. See you later.
Cheers, mate. Bye bye.
Bye.